Everyone, good morning. Happy Wednesday here in beautiful Michigan is where I'm coming from. I'm noticing, oh, there's a fly on the wall behind. It was over here. I could see it on the video. I need to get like a plant stand or something. So I woke up this morning with this song in my head. I laid in bed and I kept thinking about kind of all the changes right now with COVID going on and like with my girls, and we're doing some battle, and I've been a little angry lately that my role as who I'm supposed to be has been defined and not by my choice. Kids used to go to school and then they come home to the mom or dad too, yes. But they would come home and I would be kind of that safe breakdown place after school and that, comfort zone after. And now I'm having to be the teacher and stuff. And it's really, really hard some days. But so the song kept popping in my mind about how fast life used to be. And so is it the Beatles sing, slow down, you're moving too fast. You got to make the moment last. Skipping down the cobblestone, looking for love and feeling groovy. Or is that the Monkees? Beatles, Monkees, who can educate me? I was going to look it up this morning. I couldn't remember. But that's where I'm at. That song keeps replaying in my mind that I think, I was living a little too fast and not spending enough time just breathing in life. So I got to remember that during this time. Also have to say, so yesterday I got 2 packages in the mail. I don't check my post office box every even week usually, unless somebody lets me know something's coming. So that's the best way. If you do send me something, let me know what's coming so I can make sure to check. Good morning, everybody. Hey, everyone. And so I got some scrubs from Monica, who's over at Cold Hands Host, and from her company, Next Generation. And I also got this box. So guys, this is from Mark. So I go to the post office and this is what's there. And I'm like, did someone send me like a head or something? Like that, honest to God, was my first thought. I am so sorry, guys. But so I wondered what Mark had sent me because Mark never told me anything was coming. So I was a little concerned what I was going to open. You never know when your address is out there and you could get some hate mail. But Mark sent me a whole bunch of yummy treats. My husband devoured a whole bunch of them. He sent me 3 containers like that. So many treats. So thank you to Mark so much. Next time, put a note in or something and say something to me in the little message. But so Simon and Garfunkel, thank you, JW. I'm like rolling in my head this morning. I couldn't think who it was. And I love Simon and Garfunkel, but it's just been playing over and over and over in my head. Sorry for those of you who don't like the swallowing. Happy good morning. Hey, Robert Flower. How are you doing? Hey, from Cape Town, South Africa. It still blows me away when people from so far away are watching. Have you heard strange music played at a funeral? So, and I didn't even know that was going to be my first question here. So I just did a video with Little Miss Funeral and the Grave Woman that posted, I think Monday night, our Wine About Funerals series. And we talked all about funerals or music. So you'll have to go check that out to find out this answer. What's your favorite movie and TV show? Oh, it's a little about Kari. My favorite movie, I guess it would change. It depends on my mood. I really love the movie Date Night. I really love The Greatest Showman. And a lot of it is because of kind of the moral to the story. And it's so depending how I'm feeling or what mood I'm in or what season I'm in at the moment. I go back to those. Goonies is kind of one from when I was young that I absolutely love. But I love so many movies. I love the Lord of the Rings series. I don't know if I would sit down and watch them now. It's a lot of time consumption. I like romance, fun movies. I like horror movies once in a while now. I used to be a B horror movie flick junkie, but I just don't have time to sit down and watch movies right now. So I think I'll get into another season of life when the kids are older and stuff that I get back to movies. Favorite TV show too. What did she ask? Oh, favorite TV show. Two TV shows I'll always go back to, like Bones. I could watch over and over. Friends over and over and over again. Numbers has been one in the last few years I've caught and have probably watched the whole season 5 or 6 times at least. What else? My kids are all into Brady Bunch right now, and it's kind of fun to go back and watch those with an adult view on them and a later in life view on them. Punky Brewster they're watching right now, and it's fun to go back and watch that as well. So it's fun to go back and watch some of those shows from when I was a kid. MacGyver was one of my favorites when I was a kid, and it's so fun to go back and watch them now and kind of how cheesy it is. Let's see, what other ones do I love? My husband and I really like Blacklist and Blind Spot. And right now we're into Ozarks we're watching. We just finished Homeland and caught up with that. So what do you guys like to watch? I don't know. Phantom of the Opera. I've seen it in person and I've seen the movie. So I love musicals, like love them. And I don't go nearly as often as I should, but I love musicals. And, you know, my singing is quite amazing. Especially in the car, so in the shower. So it's wonderful. Soumya, I'm not a clinician. I'm not a therapist. I can't help. I'm so sorry that your depression, like you really need to call someone and speak to them. Oh my gosh, is it Damien? You just said something about an 8-track player playing taps. Yeah, we are old. We are. What can or can't you do if you die of coronavirus? Well, it depends on the state you're in. Each state's following different protocol, and each funeral home is following their own standards. There's funeral homes who will not embalm, but there's many, many, many who will. So if you have a family member that has died and you want a certain type of service, aside from gathering a large people together, which is not okay pretty much in most places still, you know, you just call around and find a different funeral home who can serve you the way you want to be served. If someone tells you you can only do a direct cremation, that's not a final answer. Find somebody else. So there have been several funeral directors, YouTube channels that have spoke about the different look and feel that COVID possibly bodies have for the lung tissue. Yeah, it's a lot smushier, and you know, it's very broken down. That bacteria and that virus is in there, just eating away, eating away, eating away, eating away. So the tissue of the lung is just decimated by that virus. So it's a lot softer, a lot different purge. And there's a lot of clots in the body, is what we're hearing across the board. I'm in America. Is there a way for you to report deaths that you think were COVID but not listed as such? Yes. You just call the health department and report it, and then call the medical examiner, and then try and find out who can intervene and take over the death certificate portion. So can you still be an organ donor if you die of corona? You know, there's kind of mixed on that. I've heard that some people are being accepted and some are not. So it really depends on if it's the actual cause of death, if it's contributory, if they tested positive or not. So there's a lot of different things that go into that. Batesville does not allow any filming in their factory in Indiana, or any of their factories. So I've called them. I've tried to speak to different people there, and they don't allow. I do have a casket company down in, is it Alabama? What is down? I'll have to look at a map. I think it's southern Alabama or Missouri, whichever one touches Florida at the little tip off there. That's near Panama City Beach. And they've invited me to come. I just need to be able to travel to go there. So it would be great to travel and get out there. So let's see what else. What diseases can living people get from the dead? All sorts of things. I mean, you can get the flu and all sorts of things. So there's too long of a list to pass on. Have you ever refused to do a funeral? No, I have not. I don't know, it would have to be like some weird satanic cult, like killing animals and sort of thing for me to not be comfortable and say I'm out. I've been at one funeral that like wasn't religious in some form, that there wasn't some semblance of a hierarchy, God. Most people turn to religion, whether the person was religious or not. They turn to something. They throw in a prayer for a Hail Mary, or there's something there. Even if the person was a non-believer or agnostic or atheist or something, sometimes the family still just has a component in there for themselves. Even if the person didn't believe in a God or a deity, that doesn't mean that the family doesn't, and that the family doesn't need some religion for themselves. So say you were burying somebody that was, atheist, and that they had the belief in nothing, no God, and the family were, Christians. They still need some promise of hope. They still need some comfort. And so you can find somebody to maybe speak that service that can give both, that can give comfort and can give peace and can pray for the family. But it doesn't have to be prayers for the dead and prayers for, their soul and their whatever. So you have to kind of sometimes find that middle ground where you're meeting the needs of the living, the people that are here, the people that are going on, the people that are, going to have to take those next steps. So it can get to kind of this middle tricky situation. Are all funeral homes haunted in spirits? I don't think so. I think that your spirit doesn't come with you this is my belief. Your spirit doesn't come with you to the funeral home. Like that, the funeral homes aren't haunted because of like the dead being there. If they're haunted or if they're spirits or whatever unexplained activity, then I believe it's from the place you formerly being a residence and things happening in the residence or on that ground. I have never felt with deceased that there is anybody around me with the deceased. It's usually out in other areas of the funeral home, not with the deceased. So does a body have to be embalmed to have a viewing at a funeral home if a cremation is to follow? So this is now becoming my number one asked question. It's really crazy because since I did my video on my number one asked question, it has kind of switched where I'm answering this question constantly lately. And it's a great question. I mean, it's a good thing to wonder. If I want to be cremated, do I have to be embalmed? If you're going to have a public viewing where the funeral home requires that you have the person embalmed because you're having a public viewing, then yes, you have to have an embalming. If you're going to have an ID view, so one or two family members come in to ID your body, or if you're going to have just a private, 5 to 10 people, like viewing time for 20 minutes, 30 minutes or whatever before you go off to be cremated, then most funeral homes will not require it. If you're going to have a lot of people together and it's a public event, then most funeral homes will require embalming because we can control how the person looks, we can control the timeline, we can control a lot that way. Embalming was first started in America during the Civil War to get soldiers back home. So they did field embalming and preservation. So that's kind of where it all started. Yeah, we have 3 manufacturers down in Alabama. Come on down, Kari, I'll put you up. Where in Alabama are you, Stephanie? I've never been to Alabama. So there's a lot of states I've never been to that I want to cross off my list. Alabama, never been there. I took a tour of one of the funeral homes I frequently have burials for at the cemetery. It was so neat to see the living quarters from back in the day that's no longer used. Yeah, there's just something to the life of a funeral home, especially when it used to be a home and a residence. They're not always the easiest to work out of because they're really compartmentalized, because you have very defined walls and rooms that are much smaller than used to be. Some spaces it's like, well, this used to be the kitchen and it's now the the entry, or this used to be, the bedroom and it's now this. And so it's kind of fun to see how funeral homes have transformed over the years. It is always a joy, though, to work out of a building that was built to be a funeral home, because you have space and you have room and you have big doorways that can fit caskets and cots and wheelchairs through them. Do your neighbors think it's unique you're a funeral director? Not really, I guess, anymore. It's just, in the beginning, that's never really the answer I think anybody expects to hear from you. So when you respond with, I'm a funeral director, it's like, oh, this kind of catches them off guard. It's, what do they, I always want to be like, what do you expect me to answer with? What kind of vocation do I look like I should have? I don't know. It's interesting. It's kind of fun, though, to answer that sometimes, because sometimes it's fun to catch people off guard. How many different funeral homes in the U.S. that has requested you to do their body or family members? You mean like get called to? I don't travel to, because I'm licensed only in Michigan. So I have had some requests from some viewers and people who've gotten to know me through social media and stuff that have asked me to come care for them when they die out of state. But it does require me to get a funeral home's approval and somebody from the funeral home to oversee me working to make it all legal. So it does require some additional steps and costs. So come back to the UK. I am hoping soon. I'm just hoping that my husband and I can just go on a little jaunt over and maybe catch a soccer game and travel up to the northern parts of England and maybe hop over to Scotland for a day or something. So how long does mortuary school? It is about a 4-year process from start to finish between your prerequisites, your schooling, and your apprenticeship. All right, if you ever make it to Missouri, come to Springfield and we can check out the cemetery I work at. I've been to Springfield. I was at a training in Springfield actually last year or the year before. I've lost track. It had to have been the year before. Anyway, that's where Verney Fountain's like advanced restoration training and stuff is down there. And so I came for that. It's also the home of a Bass Pro Shop, correct? I used to work at a Bass Pro Shop back in college. I am in Southwest Michigan, near kind of Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids area. So Mac had asked, why are centralized embalming facilities illegal in the state of Michigan? I don't know the specific reason that it was started to be illegal. However, they also have ruling on monopolizing within businesses. So like funeral homes can't own cemeteries can't own this, that, or the other. So one of the three can't all own each other to create a monopoly. There's ways that people are getting around it, so one way that people started getting around it back in the day was like, I'm a funeral home director. Let's say I owned a funeral home. My husband could go start a crematory. It's like this gray area. Really pissed a lot of people off because some people did this. But it was legal, and I think some people got mad. Maybe they didn't think of it first. I don't know. Is the vault included with the price of a casket, or do you pay it separately? It's a separate purchase, a separate cost, separate item. Hi, I watch your program all the time. It's very good. Thanks so much. Hello, Mr. Pele. Yeah, the Bass Pro Shop down there. So fun. They're asking, I have a BS in business administration. Will I have that transfer? You'll just have to check with the school. Some of it may transfer over. You may place out of maybe English or a public speaking or something like that. So you have to just give them your transcripts and see if any of them will cancel out, so you can, maybe not do as many prerequisite. All right. Do you find that metal caskets are a more popular choice than wood? No, I really think it's 50-50. People are driven to one or the other sometimes. Maybe somebody really liked cars, or maybe they worked with metal, and so they kind of go towards metal, or maybe they worked with wood and had a lot of wood around their house, and they go that way. So it really depends on the person, but sometimes it is cost driven. However, there are caskets that are wood and metal that are the same costs. So it just really depends what the person wants. I usually will kind of just give a layout and give some information and let people look and make their decision. Sometimes I'm really surprised with what they choose, that I think maybe they're going to pick the $1,200 very basic metal casket because they're really cost conscious, but then they pick like a $2,400 maple casket or something. So people surprise you. That's why I never assume I know what somebody wants, or I know what their price range is, or I know what their costs that they want to stay within. I give them information and I let them choose, and it's up to them. I like to go over costs before we go into the selection room, so they know where we're at before we look at the big merchandise, the casket, the vault, and then the printed material, because I don't want at the end all of a sudden to like throw this huge number in front of them. So I like to show them where we're at leading into the next items. Yeah, somebody has asked for doing a mock arrangement conference video. It'd be kind of long. I mean, it takes me 2 hours sometimes to do arrangements, so it might be a long video. I'll have to think about how we could do that to make it interesting. It's never too early to start thinking about your own funeral arrangements. If you have specific desires and wants for yourself, put them down, let somebody know. The earlier you pre-fund, the more you're saving, the longer you live. So my husband thinks it's a great deal if you pre-fund when you're like 30 and then you live to be 100. It's you've saved all that money. He's so, business and money and how you can, make it work for you. So it's never too early. So Rhonda, thanks for joining. Hey, Wendy. Yeah, someone, there's a few people that have been buried with motorcycles or cars or whatever. You just have to get big enough space. Are self-made caskets allowed? Of course, they just need to be able to fit inside the vault. And that's one of the things we find is people don't build them to the correct specifications of size, and then they don't fit in a vault, and then they have to buy an oversized vault, and then they're upset. So, you can make your own. We just want to make sure that it fits at the end. I love your laugh. Thanks, Selma. I've never an uncontrollable fit of laughter. I have been tickled by a few things. I'm trying to think of sometime. Well, the Grave Woman spoke about this in her video, where you have somebody come in to sing a solo and they're so bad that you're just, it's almost like a nervous, uncomfortable giggle fit. It's just bad. It's like, how is this happening? Can we make it stop? I feel like that is, and I know that it sounds kind of crass, like we're laughing at somebody, but how this person thought they were a good singer and who let them up there, it's like, what is going on? Yeah. Man, a mock arrangement video. All right, I'll have to work on that, guys. Jacob's talking about Zoe's playlist did an episode about pre-planning a funeral. I've watched, it's funny watching shows lately, and I'm like, oh, there's a funeral director person, and they always turn them into just these old, white, grumpy men. I haven't seen Zoe's playlist, but like I was watching on Ozarks, there's a funeral director, and I'm like, oh, it's a funeral home. Oh, it's a crematory. Why does he have to be the schmarmy person? It's always like they have it so stereotyped. So I'd like to change that stereotype. Is my impression correct that most embalmers are independent to get enough work that's not possibly through one employer? No, a lot of embalmers just work for one funeral home. But there are trade embalmers then, and they're more popular in bigger cities that, don't want to keep maybe somebody on staff full time for that, or they have somebody on staff, but they need an additional person. So it just depends on the area. Phantasm, is that the one with the ball that comes down the hallway at you and it like floats? Can two people or pets be buried in the same casket? Yes. Like full body adults, you'd have to get in a much oversized casket and everything. Pets in the casket is illegal in some states. So it depends on the state, and it depends who knows about it. And so it just depends. Good morning. And I'm sorry about last week's video, guys. I went and watched it, and oh, that sucks, because that video was so frustrating to watch. Like where it was jumping for you during the real view, it was just jumping through content at the other. So I'm really bummed. My grandmother bought 10 burial plots back in the 1960s. We're not going to use them. What do we do? Like, can we sell them? What do we do? So this is a common question as well, especially when maybe families bought large plots and assumed everybody would be buried there, but now down the road, people are being cremated or, just making different choices. Call the cemetery and find out what they allow. So think about this. Think about how would you track if you sold things to 10 people and then those 10 people just gave them away to other people and they maybe gave them away, but then that person tries to go use the cemetery plot down the road and it's not in their name. They have no right to it except for paper in their hand. So it doesn't register with the cemetery that they're allowed to use it, and then they can't even bury somebody there. So the title has to transfer over, and you need to find out with the cemetery how to do that. They may charge a title transfer fee, so you can sell the plot, but you have to pay the cemetery to change the title and record, because then they have to go in and relabel everything and such. So you're just paying them for some time to change it. Those are the things you have to look at. Some cemeteries may require you to sell them back to them, or they may pay you the price you sold them at initially. It may have been free. It may have been $10, 100 years ago, but that's what they'll pay you, and then they'll take it back. So there's a few different ways that I've seen it done, but just call the cemetery or township or whoever runs the cemetery. Oh, Sherry, you call me out on things. So my book, I need to make time. I just need to make time, guys. I have like all these notes, all this stuff together, and I need to sit down and like put it all together. This is something my husband says I should stay up at night and do. So after the kids go to bed and he's going to sleep, I should like come downstairs and do more work and just stay up and get some stuff done. I would rather watch an episode of Bones and, catch up on my social media and do this other stuff. So motivation, if you want to send some over to me to motivate in certain areas. And did you fix your pumpkin? I need to get a Dremel saw or a Dremel tool to shave down my pumpkin. But yeah, I still have my pumpkin. My husband's like, why do we still have this thing? I said, because I have to restore him. So I have my broken pumpkin. So guys, I had this pumpkin my grandmother made for me in 1978, the first year I was born, and it smashed. It's one of those like, what are they? Ceramic pumpkin heads, and there's a light inside. Well, my stupid robot vacuum grabbed the cord because it was left down, pulled it down, smashed it. So I've started reconstructing it, but I'm at the point now I need a little Dremel to shave to get pieces together more so that I can do a little video on putting it back together, because it's kind of a head that needs restoration. And this is how we would put it back together. So that's where I'm at with that. What is my favorite getaway? I feel like that's as a mom. So in Date Night, the movie I talked about, there's a part where she says, I don't ever think about having an affair. I just think about running away to a hotel room by myself where it's quiet and I can sit and sip on a diet Sprite. And I'm like, oh girl, I feel you. Like it would take too much work to go have an affair. I would want to go and like just be by myself and quiet somewhere and like watch whatever I wanted on TV, not having anybody interrupt me, eat whatever I wanted and drink whatever I wanted, and like just have a few moments to myself and just do that. That would be my dream getaway. Otherwise, I love going somewhere where we can experience a new culture, a new place. I'm not a all-inclusive lay on the beach for 5 days straight sort of person. That's really not my thing. I would be over that within a few hours. I like to see new things or do new things. I like to relax, but still just be in a new place and an adventure. And my girls are like that. My husband's like that. We're not beach lovers. The sand drives me nuts. So yeah, that's about that. Hearse videos after COVID. Well, Hearse Fest will happen again this fall, probably, unless there's still a ban on number of people. And so I'll be doing that. There is a Hearse building facility. Is that in Missouri too? Shoot, I'm like, I've got to fly too, guys. It's driving me nuts. And he's invited me to come down and do a video there as well. So I've got places to go and videos to do. We've just got to get to be able to move and get there. So with the $ at the enter button. I think you can, so it's like some of these that pop up. I think one person did it, and you're basically sending money to me. And it also means I go and I answer your question first. It kind of highlights you and shows, I can't remember what it's called, but I didn't even know it existed until somebody did it one day. And I was like, what does that mean? And they told me. So have you heard anything about our friend in California that had the brain cancer? So Victor Daniel emailed me the other day and said that he's doing chemo again and will probably die this year and wants me to embalm him. You know, it's been over 2 years since all of that. And so, you know, it's a lot of going back and forth for me personally to fully believe the story, which I know sounds bad, guys, but people say a lot of crap. And if you're on death with dignity, that means your doctor has deemed you literally done. And so they give you the medication and you are done. You get no more treatment. You get nothing else. So for him to then have survived past that, past doctors and, you know, multiple doctors saying that you are going to die, this is something you may choose, otherwise it's death. And to come out of that, to live 2 years and then be doing chemo again, not saying it doesn't happen, but it's pretty a wild thing. And there's been a lot of other stuff. So I just don't know what to believe. I don't know what to believe. You know, I hope the best for him. I hope that, you know, he can beat whatever he has. It's one of those things. I don't know. Would you do a video on the question and answers on the funeral director test? No, I won't, because I could get in a lot of trouble for, you know, if I was doing whatever. However, I am going to be playing Who Wants to Be a Mortician with a bunch of students, like in a Zoom, and I'll probably be posting those videos so you can get a glimpse as to some of the questions that are from the study guide. So I will go through some of that. Ooh, what would be my favorite time era to revisit and why? There's too many. There's too many. I love too many. I would say 50s and 60s probably right off the bat, because I love, I don't know, I love the poodle skirts and the, you know, the cars and the music. And I grew up listening to music from that era because of my dad, and, you know, riding around with my dad. So I think it's nostalgic to me for that reason, because it was my dad's favorite. And So I feel like I would want to go back to that time, maybe. But there's so many other things I would want to go do as well, like Wild West and, kind of Civil War and, oh my goodness, so many. Super chat. Thank you, Samantha. Yeah, I had no idea. Yes, every week on Wednesday, almost every single Wednesday between 9 and 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will come on for we're at about 35 minutes right now. I try and keep it around a half hour so it's not too long for replays and such, and answer questions. I'll pull questions that people have sent me from the week previous and emails and, that they've posted on old videos, and I will answer them. Hey, Pastor Jack. Hey, Jade. So, and I get a lot of people hop on with me weekly, especially during right now. Sorry guys, this fly is gonna get it as soon as this video is over. I am gonna go to town on him. Oh, driving me crazy. So, but a lot of great questions are asked, like truly, truly great questions that you guys make me think and have to search for answers sometimes, because I think there are things I've never even thought of. So Sherry, anybody offered to donate their body to you for you to show all you do? Is that legal? Yes, it would be. I feel like that would be like, so I don't know. I feel like it would be, is it too much? Like, I don't know. I feel like there's some respect and stuff that I feel like I would be broaching with the person, even though they signed over and said it was okay, that I'm showing them to the world and I'm showing me doing things. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there might be a borderline. Yeah, meet and greet. So I've tried to do a few. It's always hard. People say they want to do them, and then like I may go somewhere, and then the people that say they want to don't get back with me, or I don't know always where to set them up. I'm coming to somewhere where I don't know. So I've tried to have people that live there kind of pick a place and a time that I could announce, because I don't know. So it doesn't always work. I am totally good with doing meet and greets. I love meeting you guys in person. St. Louis, I already know I have a squad in St. Louis, a crew that I will be meeting, and I'm really excited about that. I know like Mac and JW are two of those there, and there's several others of you. So St. Louis, here I come whenever watch out for the killer hornets too. Yeah, seriously. One of my favorite memes lately is like pandemic, killer hornets. Now we enter like level 6 of Jumanji or something. And it's like, oh my gosh, how true is that? So Samantha, what part of the country are you in? If I ever did a meet and greet there. What grosses me out? Colostomy bags. There's just something about when you pull off and there's that little nub out. It's just gross to me. I'm not saying if you have a colostomy bag, you are gross. Something about that protruding, maybe it's because I don't like holes and bumps that are, I don't know, it grosses me out. Broken bones that are like stuck out in like your foot in the wrong place and bones and stuff. I don't like body parts in positions they're not supposed to be in. Maybe that's what it is. Not that it grosses me out, but it just gives me the willies quick, and then I'm over it. But yeah, Texas. Yeah, I'm supposed to come to Texas this year. Gal darn Corona. But yeah, not a lot grosses me out. Maggots are never great, just because they're moving and grooving. Yeah. Really dirty people, like mold under the fingernails, big nasty wax balls in the ears, like that kind of stuff where somebody's not been cared for or cleaned or bathed, or things like that kind of gross me out. So no, I've not been to a body farm, and that is on my wish list. It's on my top 3. I have a wish list of places to go: a body farm, the mortuary affairs at Dover to visit there, And then doing like demort later down the road when I have the availability to like drop and go, to help with like plane crashes or mass catastrophes, things like that. And so, yeah, those are my those are my dream. That's my wish list. So I'm going to let you guys go. Body Farm. Ooh, I'll answer that quick for Steve. So Body Farm is a study place. And what they do is they take cadavers, which are donated bodies, and they place them in all sorts of different scenarios so that they can test and see how somebody decomposes in different situations, different variables. You know, if a body is outside, if they have wool on, if they have cotton on, if they have, you know, direct sunlight on them, if you're submerged in water, if you're in a trunk, if, you know, you're wrapped in plastic. That way, when like the FBI or anybody has crimes, to find a very accurate time of death and such, they can go to this research and find a time of death based on that exposure. So it's been great information for people to have over the years because it allows them to track and find criminals much easier based on that timeline. So yeah, the little bubble thing. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know words. I'm lacking words. This corona's got me. Not knowing words, being trapped. Thank you guys. Log off. Keep watching for videos. I've got content. I'm trying not to like give you all I got right at once, but I'm slowly building. Not being able to travel is definitely affected some of the bigger videos that I want to bring you guys, but working my hardest on it for you. Make sure if you do want to join me with a Kari cup for your viewing time, head over to karinorthey.com and check out merchandise there. And I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.